Gary Jansen, author of the children's book, Remember Us with Smiles, joins us today on The Gist. Thanks for being with us again, Gary.
Hey, Danielle, thanks for having me back on the show.
Yeah, excited to talk to you about this new children's book that you have out, Remember Us with Smiles. Tell us what made you want to write this book.
Yeah, my kids were getting older, and my wife and I would sit around at dinner and talk to our kids sometimes, or talk with ourselves as well, just about how we missed those those times when they were really young, and when you could build a fort in your living room and have the best night of all time. And as kids get older a little bit, some of that magic goes away. And so we were reminiscing, and we were coming up with a whole list of things that we were remembering. And that eventually morphed itself into the book.
Yeah, I love the moments that you describe in there. They're ones that every family, I think, can relate to, but just little things that you might otherwise take for granted. And that was what struck me, was you could read this with a child and really focus in on these little moments that you might otherwise miss and really focus on enjoying them as a family.
Yeah, we wanted to celebrate those special moments, those quiet, like, little moments that families experience. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to write the book so that children enjoyed it, but we also wanted to write the book so that parents enjoyed it, right? And so we essentially shared it with a number of parents, and we got a lot of tears, right? Because there was a lot of emotion that would come flooding back, and and at the same time too, we had a number of people who we know who have parents themselves who have older parents who have dementia or Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And so that went into the book as well, because, you don't realize how important memories are until you don't have them anymore, or you're living with someone who doesn't remember. And so there were so many different people that we were writing for. We're writing for children, we're writing for the parents, but we're also writing for grandparents and caregivers as well.
Right. Do you have personal experience with living with someone with Alzheimer's, or what motivated you on that particular aspect?
Well, we have very close friends who have parents who have Alzheimer's, but I also did some work with Rudy Tanzi, who works up at Harvard as a neuroscientist and is one of the leading scientists working to cure Alzheimer's. And so we just had conversations over the years. And so this idea of memory and how important memory is really something that's become a core part of who I am, and also just the exploration of Alzheimer's and trying to help those people around us who are going through really traumatic experiences, So mm-hmm. That was really, So that idea of memory has just become a really powerful one in our family and also in the work that I do.
Right. So some of these scenes that are described here in the book, do those come directly from your own experience with your kids? Are they specific memories? And so does that give this book special meaning for your family?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a time in there when we were out in a field, and there was an imagined dragon in the sky that we were combating when the kids were really young. And then the idea of building forts, or just going out for ice cream, going for walks, playing baseball in the backyard. All of these things are just simple things that we did. And they're really rich memories when we look back, yeah, so we wanted to capture some of that because they felt like universal experiences that lots of families experience.
Right, and they sure are. But you wrote this book together with your wife, so it truly is a family experience. What was that like, writing with your wife?
Oh, she was terrific. I wish she could be here right now. She's actually picking my son up, who's taking a state test right now. Oh, wow. But it was a lot of fun. So it was the first time we worked together as authors, and so this really started off as a love letter to her, mm-hmm. And then we looked at it and we said, there's really something special here. And so my wife was, she looked at that and we were like, what if we just made it into a book? What if we did something like that? And so she took pieces of it and she rewrote pieces of it and she included her memories. And so it really was. And we talked to our kids too about what they remembered. So it really was a family affair. The kids don't get the credit, but they're involved as well.
Yeah. And the stories really come to life from the gorgeous illustrations. Did you work directly with the illustrator, or were you kind of surprised at how it all turned out?
Oh, no, it took a while to search to find the perfect artist, and we found it in Barbara Bongini, who is, she's from Milan. She lives in Milan, Italy. And there's something about her illustrations that really resonated with both my wife and I. And we had such a great time working with her. We never met her, but it was all through email. and working with a designer through the publisher. And it was just a terrific experience. She really encapsulated and captured those moments in a way that when we looked at the art, we went, oh my goodness, you have nailed it. You have really nailed it.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. I love them. Whenever I look at a beautifully illustrated children's book, I always think like, this is just real artwork you might like to frame and have on your wall.
Absolutely.
But these stories and the illustrations kind of they're simple and they're beautiful. And they focus us on gratitude, I think, like really focusing on the joys of every day. So are there some ways you could recommend for people to be more thankful every day, or how can we train our kids to be more grateful?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really like taking the time out to just express gratitude. And one thing that we would do around the table at dinner time was to go around every day and just say, what's one thing that we were grateful for? And sometimes it would get kind of rote, to be perfectly honest with you. We would say the same things, but every once in a while, things would pop up. Which, my child would have, someone had helped him at school. And or hey, remember when we got ice cream and it fell on Charlie? And just grateful that the fact that we were able to go inside and the people at Carvel were so nice and they gave him a free ice cream cone. And so it's really just, hey, and when you live with an attitude of gratitude and when you live with a mindset of gratitude, all of a sudden you become very aware of how good people can be around you.
Right. So where can people learn more about this and, find out more about the book, maybe take a look at some of those beautiful illustrations?
Absolutely. So go to GaryJanson.com, but the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your independent bookstores. So just check it out. And LoyolaPress.com, you can also find more information. And there's a great video on Loyola Press as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary Janson, so much for producing this book together with your wife, Grace, and for all that you're doing to encourage Catholic families. And thank you for coming on The Gist to share all about it.
Danielle, thank you so much.